We've got some more details about the upcoming Star Wars Ahsoka series. A new rumor explains how Obi-Wan Kenobi might show up in the series, and it has everything to do with the world between worlds. This new rumor comes from Jason Ward of MakingStarWars.net during a recent live stream on his YouTube channel earlier this month of August. He was asked by a viewer how Palpatine might show up in the series. However, he went on to explain how Obi-Wan Kenobi might actually show up. This is what he had to say. He said, 2 things I'll drop on the show today, 2 little minor tidbits or something that adds to his story. They filmed a sequence where Ahsoka sees herself on Mustafar fighting Hayden Christensen's Darth Vader before he's in the suit. Ward's guest, Bespin Bulletin, noted these were new scenes, and then Ward confirmed saying, yes, it was new, and they had a dummy for a dead Kenobi, and they had clothes for a dead Kenobi. He then kind of explained what the ideas were behind this dummy and the clothes for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he said they had 2 ideas there. One is Anakin literally kills Obi-Wan Kenobi in that fight, where the idea would be that Ahsoka and Kenobi confront Darth Vader. As for the second, he said another is he turns into the pile of clothes, just like as he always did. He became one with the Force in time in that narrative. A little bit later on in his video, he declared, I don't want to build that up to being this 5-minute revenge of the Sith homage everyone's been waiting for. Chances are she's walking down a hall of mirrors, so to speak, and she looks into one and she sees this moment. And that might be all that it is, or it might just be simply she has a vision. Okay, what would life have been if she saved? So that idea of that hall of mirrors, if you watched the Star Wars Rebels series, you know that they introduced a concept called the world between worlds. And in that world, there are these kind of mirrors or portals where you can basically travel back into time. And in a previous rumor, well, actually, before we get to that, that previous rumor, I do want to get to this part here too. He said that this is what he believes. So they then provide some speculation based on this information on what he thinks could happen in the show. He says, I think where they ended up on this, Obi-Wan Kenobi's dead, and now she's Obi-Wan, or playing that Obi-Wan type figure, right? I don't think she's the New Hope. I think now she has to go live in the Tatooine desert watching over Luke. So Ahsoka has basically inherited the role of mentor from Obi-Wan Kenobi in this alternate future, alternate reality, whatever, that she sees in the world between worlds. And then, however, we had Bespin Bulletin offer his own speculation. He kind of questioned and says, what if she's the Hope? What if there's a future where she takes the Luke position, essentially, like if she was present during the original trilogy, you know? I mean, I think that's what they're actually doing anyways. You're already seeing her. She's going to be fighting Grand Admiral Thrawn. That's what Luke did in the expanded universe. So she's already kind of taking on the role of Luke Skywalker in many of the battles that he did post original trilogy in the expanded universe. So I wouldn't put it past Dave Filoni, Star Wars, and Lucasfilm to basically continue doing what they're doing and supplant Luke Skywalker. It looks like that's what they're going to be doing with the Rey movie, with Luke building up the new Jedi Order, which they should have been doing in the sequel trilogy, but now it looks like they have plans to do that with the Rey movie. So why would you not have Ahsoka supplant Luke in his battle against Grand Admiral Thrawn? So I definitely think that is a possibility. But I did want to go back to this kind of earlier rumor and that discussion about the world between worlds. He did explain in a previous rumor that basically there's going to be multiple different actors playing Ahsoka Tano, because we'll see her in different times throughout her life, and it's going to be glimpses through the world between worlds. He said these are glimpses or small sequences, and Dawson will play Ahsoka during the majority of the story. So again, if you've seen Star Wars Rebels, you know that there's these portals that you can go through and go into time. We specifically saw Ezra Bridger reach out and basically bring Ahsoka Tano into the world between worlds just as she was about to be struck down by Darth Vader during their fight. I think it was called Malachor. I think that's the planet. I might be wrong on that. Don't hate me for that. And then basically saves her. That Sith temple then collapses. Vader's able to escape, and Ahsoka and Vader both live on to fight again. So we do know that people can basically be transported through time through these portals as depicted in Star Wars Rebels. But then on top of these glimpses, I guess we would not only see her at different stages of her life, but then there would also be other possible outcomes depending on significant choices she made during her life. So this is how he explained. He said, if Ahsoka had returned to the Jedi Order, she could be the one fighting Darth Vader on Mustafar, having the high ground, not Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he did kind of touch on that as well, that he might or she might see herself being the one chopping up Anakin on Mustafar, basically cutting off all of his limbs like Obi-Wan did, and then letting him burn in the lava sand. And then he also said that they did indeed have an actor portraying Ahsoka film, quote, fight scenes with Clone Wars Ahsoka, and that Hayden Christensen also did fight training, quote, wearing the same costume he wore on Mustafar in Revenge of the Sith. So none of this really surprises me. This sounds like Disney Star Wars. It sounds like this is what they're going to do. They're going to be continuing to supplant Luke Skywalker's story from the expanded universe and having these female characters take over that story. The Force is female. So none of this surprises me. This is what the Lucasfilm MO has always been since George Lucas sold it. And it looks like that's what they're going to continue to be doing in this story. I think the whole idea of embracing the world between worlds in this show in a live action is just utterly ridiculous and stupid. They should do away with that concept. And I think that concept also shows just how creatively bankrupt they are in Star Wars, that you have to basically go back to this gimmick. And I think that's what it is, a gimmick, to try and justify why a character even still exists in the series when they probably should not exist anymore and should have been killed off. But anyways, that is what they're doing. This is what Lucasfilm does. They do use gimmicks now, and the storytelling just is nowhere near where it should be or what it used to be.
Subscribe for more.